Welcome to Backstage past Nicolet College. Today we have joining us on the stage Kate Ferrel. Kate, can you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what your role is here at the college?
Sure, Jacob. My name is Kate Ferrel, and I serve Nicolet College as president. I was chosen as president in the spring, summer of 2021, so I just celebrated my 4-year anniversary as president. And then also on September 22nd, the day before my birthday, I celebrated my 26th year in the Wisconsin Technical College system. So I was at Mid-State Technical College before coming to Nicolet 11 years ago. And the other part of your question was to tell me about my job.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
yes. I have a good memory, Jacob. It's getting shorter. So the job of a president. So I joke that there could be any given day I could find myself in any given role in this job, ranging from the times that I've had to unclog the toilet in the Red Oak Center, the first floor toilet, because when I get there in the morning, I noticed it was running over, so just jump into action. I know where all the equipment is in the facilities closet, all the way up to, I think, like the highest elevation of work that faces this college in terms of the strategy work, the work that is going to ensure that this institution is sustained into the next 60 to 100 years. So we're about to celebrate our 60th birthday as a college in 2027. So my job is really around figuring out that strategy to ensure that we're sustained for the long term. And then along the way, you do all of the other things like make sure that we've got really good people in leadership roles and frontline service roles and sort of communicate what those expectations are for the folks in those roles. Work with our board. So our board is, which you have intimate knowledge of, Jacob, because you're our student representative on the Board of Trustees. We have a 9-person Board of Trustees. So I have 9 bosses, which is great. Couldn't think of a better thing. So these are really awesome people who give so much of their time and talent to help shape the future of the institution as well. So I work really closely with our board, so they too have the knowledge and the baseline knowledge to make good decisions when it comes before the board at our monthly meetings. So helping to shape all of that. I come from such a interesting background. I mean, I have probably to many people's chagrin, in 26 years in this system, other than maybe the facilities job, I've had almost every job at the technical college, and even if it was in an interim role. So I feel really lucky to have that scope of understanding of how certain roles and what the responsibilities are with certain roles. And then it's probably much to some people's chagrin because I ask those questions that only someone would know if they had had that role.
Right, that's very profound and intimate knowledge of the workings of a college, from what I'm getting out of this. And it's remarkable to me that you see a toilet overflowing and you just jump right in and you just get into it. Like, I think that says a lot about who you are as a human and as a leader. So I understand that you have a personal mission and vision statements, and I think it kind of probably ties into the first question here.
Yeah.
Would you like to explain those?
Yeah, I think it's important, and this came about through a lot of in my early career in the technical college system. I participated in some pretty intense leadership development back in the early 2000s called the Wisconsin Leadership Development Institute. And as a part of that, they challenge you to come up with a personal vision and mission statement and philosophy of your work and that kind of thing. So, that was the first time I ever did that in my career. And it really was, I think, impactful to help you set kind of your North Star. Because in any role that we have, I don't care what kind of job you have, you're going to be challenged to do things that maybe don't feel like they align with your value structure, or, it just helps you to make like decisions based on your own value structure, really. So I'm going to read my mission statement because I don't want to mess it up. And I know it's supposed to be memorized, but Jacob, forgive me. I have a lot of files up here, so I have had to purge things, kind of like when Homer Simpson said something about how when he wanted to learn how to drive, or when he wanted to learn how to brew beer, he had to forget how to drive because he didn't have enough bandwidth. So, yes, I was a Simpsons watcher. So, my personal mission statement, it's about encouraging, engaging, and equipping others to believe in the possibilities. So it's very aspirational. Like I want people to understand their current state, and then what can I do to help equip them to get to the next state, like to get to their stretch goal, or to do something that they don't even feel is possible, which is why I think I love working in higher ed so much, and anytime I can have that interaction with students, so often students walk in our door that first day and they're overwhelmed. There's no way they can imagine the possibilities. So once they're here for a little while, wow, they just start imagining themselves in a career, in a role, confident in ways that they never even imagined. So I embrace that in my own personal mission statement. And then my vision is kind of achieved, but so I probably should update this, but when I wrote this, my career goal was to be an executive leader in the community and technical college space, which I think I am. I think I reached that, so check mark. My vision also includes this statement, though. I'm driven by people, service, and ideas which solve problems and advance our population. So I wouldn't call myself like an entrepreneur, but that has kind of an entrepreneurial spirit. Like, I love to understand what kinds of problems people are trying to solve, because in this role as president and almost every other role that I've had in the system, I've felt that that's one of the best things that we can do in higher ed, is to help other people figure out how to solve their problems, because that really positions us as such a value add to the whole equation.
That's a lot to unpack. I wanted to just share mine and yours first experience together. And maybe you don't remember this, but it sticks to me. So I came back, my first day last fall, and I just started as a work study in the business office. So I was coming into the Red Oak, and you would stop me down in the door and say, I really like your Packer sweatshirt. And you had these interactions with me for weeks before I realized that you were the president of the college. And it just touched me. It's like she cares that much to take time to talk to a random student that she doesn't know, just in passing, and give them a compliment. And I just wanted you to know how much of an impact that had on me and making me feel comfortable, like I was doing the right thing coming back. So you said 26 years in higher education. How did you get to higher education?
Oh, yeah. So, well, my family used to call me like a job hopper, because like every 2 years I would have a different job. So like I started, I went to college at UW-Eau Claire, is where I got my undergrad. I did an internship at UW-Eau Claire, which turned into a full-time job. Sound familiar?
Yes,
Jacob?
yes.
With the High Ground Veterans Memorial, which is outside of Neillsville, Wisconsin.
Okay.
I was the executive director of the foundation and did their public relations for them. So it was I was the employee. I was the only employee. So did that for a couple of years, raised some money, did the event planning, all of that sort of thing, and then went on to work in a variety of different marketing and PR sorts of roles for one for a wholesale pharmaceutical company, and then I landed a position with a company in Marshfield, Wisconsin, where I was the director of marketing and communication and did business-to-business marketing and communication, and did like 30 trade shows a year and traveled the country doing that work, put together a catalog, did all of the marketing pieces. So I did that for about a half a dozen years or so. And then I went to work for an educational software company for a little while in central Wisconsin, and realized that, wow, there are some remarkable things happening in education these days, because of course I was still seeing education from 15 years ago when I went through high school and grade school. And the software that was helping students to learn both reading, writing, and math just blew me away. So I'm like, wow, this is not your father's education anymore. So I really enjoyed that. Like, wow, education has got some real possibilities that I didn't realize, because I had been disconnected from it for a while. So then I saw an ad in the newspaper back when we would read the newspaper for ads for jobs. It wasn't Indeed or it wasn't LinkedIn, and there was a position that reminded me a lot of like serving business and industry kind of a role, like I was doing for that company where I was marketing director. And so it was with Mid-State Technical College. The title was Workforce Development Representative. So it was kind of a adult recruiting / serving businesses to help them prepare for this momentous event which was coming up, which was Y2K.
Oh, yeah.
Bunch of nothing, really.
Yes.
Sorry, I broke the fourth wall there. So we, I can't believe it. I got the job. So I was out recruiting adults and also working with businesses to help them connect them with the training they would need to prepare their employees for Y2K. And so that was just the start of it all. And from there, at Mid-State, I went on to serve in that role. I was the director of career services. I was like the Wisconsin Rapids site manager, if you will. So I oversaw that campus location.
Okay.
I oversaw the welcome desk, which, as I have talked many times, everybody needs to work in the welcome center or at the welcome desk. You ain't lived till you work that gig. There was a point in time where we lost our registrar suddenly, so I filled in as registrar. There was a point in time where we lost our grants manager, so I filled in as grants manager. I think about the only job in student services that I haven't held is like hardcore financial aid, which that's probably best for everybody. But the thing is I just always raise my hand for every training opportunity, for every short-term little interim gig, because I was just like, I'm so curious and I have such a thirst for knowledge, and I just thought, I want this to be a really long-term gig in this industry. So the more I can learn about the registrar's job or about recruiting's jobs or admissions jobs or, grant writing, that kind of thing, I'm all over it. And so eventually then, I was probably about 10 years into working in the student services side of the house at Mid-State. And I thought that I needed to really stretch myself and challenge myself in a whole different space. So I applied for an associate dean position in the business department. So the role that I was vying for oversaw IT, accounting, business. It was like our Ellen Mathine job,
Okay.
dean
Sure.
of business. So supervisory management, but it was in academic affairs. First of all, I didn't come from higher ed in the first place, and then I had spent 10 years in student affairs, but got this job in academic affairs and just really dove into understanding what is the faculty role, what kind of challenges do they face, how can we help students be more successful in terms of retaining them and getting them over the finish line, especially from a curriculum and classroom perspective. So I am so grateful for the opportunity that I was given to be an associate dean and like completely out of my comfort zone. I was a wreck for months in that job because I just had never done that work before. But
Sure.
you admit when you don't know what you don't know,
Right.
and you seek the advice of people that you really respect and admire, which I always did, and you just grow into it. So to this day, I have really close friends who were my direct reports when I was an associate dean, and I just am really humbled by that, and I'm really grateful for the chance they gave me to be their leader.
And
And then I came here.
so I was going to say that associate dean role was at Midstate still before you transitioned to Nicolet.
Yeah, yep. And I just, I was ready. I did that work for 6 years. I was ready for my next challenge. I think I have like a 5-year shelf life or something before I start to get restless. Started looking for roles kind of at that next level, either that dean or associate vice president kind of thing. And I was interviewing all over the country. Yavapai Community College in New Mexico was really somewhere where I was really interested in working. Just loved the environment, loved the weather. Miami-Dade in Florida, Valencia in Florida. So I was really open to really changing up my scenery and going to wherever the best role might be for me. And lo and behold, I saw a Dean of Students role at Nicolet College come across my feed, and I knew a few people who had moved up here. A couple people from Midstate actually started working here, and so inquired about the culture, the role, the college, that sort of thing. Threw my hat in the ring, and the rest is history.
Oh, that is a really remarkable journey. And I think, for our viewers too, it really shows you never settled. You always looked for how you were going to improve yourself next. And I mean, obviously you were training yourself to be the president of a college and didn't even realize it at the time.
Didn't even know it. But I think the real moral, and oftentimes people come to me and say, hey, I want to be a president someday. What was your trajectory? And I talk about this circuitous, all over the place kind of path to the presidency, which isn't necessarily common. I mean, some people have a very lockstep process to get to this role. Mine was not that way at all, and I love it. I am so grateful that that's kind of the way that, things just worked out for me. But I think the moral of the story is be open to change and be open to just making yourself super uncomfortable with the unknown, because you never know where that might take you.
That's very true. Why higher education, and how do you approach your work in higher education? I think you've already touched on the why. Maybe do you want to elaborate more on the how?
The how is really rooted in, I think, at this role now, at this elevation, meaning, I don't mean elevation from like I'm at a different place. I clean the toilets, for goodness sake.
Correct,
not
yeah.
elevation from that perspective, but I get to see this college from the 100,000-foot level so that I can ensure its sustainability for the next 60 years. So what are the high-level decisions we need to make to get us there? And I think in terms of the how, I approach that very much in that kind of entrepreneurial mindset. Like, what problems are we trying to solve? Let's get the right people at the table, which is one of the reasons I love being kind of us being a strengths organization and respecting people's strengths and wanting to, and acknowledging that we need different perspectives at the table to solve some of the issues and the challenges that we have, and to create those opportunities for people going forward.
So you started talking about strengths, specifically the Gallup strengths, and I was wondering, would you like to elaborate on yours and maybe your perspective on why it's important to bring a cumulative of those strengths to the table?
Yeah, so I do have my strengths here too, again.
Please share them with us, yes.
Back to the Homer Simpson statement. I know my top two, they haven't changed forever. So individualization is my top strength, and then positivity is my second. I've got arranger and relator and input. See, I did it without looking.
Yes, you did.
Individualization is all about really being driven to know people, like on a personal level, really. I mean, not prying or anything like that, but to understand like what makes Jacob tick, and how can I, in my role as president, how can I facilitate opportunities for Jacob to be super productive, engaged, and plugged in? And how can I help make that happen for him? So individualization is trying to, understand people at a deeper level, a one-on-one level. It's kind of exhausting because you do really get energy by knowing people on that deeper level. But at the end of the day, I think it bestows so much like respect for what the other person brings to the table. Positivity, I think that's just something I've always had. I've always been like, the sky is always blue in my world and always has been,
Right.
my entire life. But I think that's really important in a job like being president of a college, especially right now. We're challenged in so many ways, from being valued as a higher education institution in a world where maybe higher ed right now isn't the top value of
Right.
many institutions or many others that look at us and cast a judgment on us. So I think positivity also helps you to create kind of that shared vision, like who are we as an institution and where are we going? I think we've got a really terrific mission as an institution, and we've got a very noble mission. So I think someone at the helm really needs to very positively reinforce that mission over and over. And then arranger and input and relator, those are kind of fun strengths, I think, in terms of this role, especially like arranger. I love taking a spider web of seemingly disconnected things and creating dotted lines or connections between things that might otherwise not seem connected, so that we can pool our resources and move the institution forward. So I like taking a mess and compartmentalizing it and organizing it and moving something forward. So that's kind of where a ranger comes into play. And then input, my desk is messy. I still love paper. Input,
Sure.
you like things that help you to make meaning of other things. So, and then as an institution, I just, I think we've done some really great work in terms of understanding people's strengths. Where do they focus their strengths? Like, are they in relator, or are they in strategic, or that sort of thing? So one thing I'll ask people, like if it's one of the vice presidents that has a chance to hire someone new, I will challenge them by saying, where are your gaps in like your profile of the people that are on your team? Do you feel like you've got a really good representation of different strengths on your team? And if not, you might want to consider candidates that you believe bring those strengths to the equation, because it's so rich and healthy to have those different perspectives at the table. So I think, strengths is something that I first discovered back at Midstate. I got a grant for the administrative professionals to use strengths in their program, and that had to be back in like 2006 or 7. So I've known about strengths and the power it can bring for a long time, and so I'm a believer in it. I really, I support it and resource it here at the institution. I'm really thrilled that I'm hearing that more faculty are starting to bring it into the classroom as well, because I think it gives students just one more way to voice what they can bring to an employer, how can they add value, how can they help solve problems. And oftentimes I'll see them doing that through like a strengths lens, like because I have responsibility in my strengths, I am able to XYZ, fill in the blank. So it's a pretty cool methodology for, helping to grow and engage people.
It's not the first time I've used that, like as an employee or a student in my career, but it's the first time at an organization that I felt like it really mattered, and that leadership and colleagues really looked at those things to see how you can help or how you can fit into the puzzle. And I think it's really cool, Let's go on a lighter topic here.
Okay.
As far as our beautiful campus, do you have a favorite location that you like to visit? And if you do, what usually brings you there?
I don't mean to be difficult, but it's not a single location, but it is our loop.
Okay.
Our loop is just such a gift, to be able to get out into nature, commune with nature like we can. I think it's like 1.7 miles, like the short loop is, and it's the perfect amount of time and distance to really work through something in your head if you're hung up on something. But then also, I love running into people on the loop as well, because it's often people I don't like see in my normal rotation of where I hang out on campus.
Sure.
So it also gives me a chance to run into people I don't normally see. And then I think it also just helps us as an institution to give people the chance to not only commune with nature and clear their head, but also just, get some steps in. Not a bad thing,
Right.
Get a little exercise in your day. So our loop is my favorite thing.
I've always, walking is a great de-stressor. It really helps align those thoughts, like you said.
Yeah, and it's amazing. We had that huge tree out by Fieldside Center, and every time I walk by that tree, I just notice something slightly different about that tree, or something new about that tree. I don't know if you've ever gazed at it, but that tree just fills my bucket, that tree. I don't know why, but I love that tree.
Just its age or its presence, something about the energy it's giving off.
Yeah, I think that tree has seen like everything. This land that we're on was a homestead way back in the day. So that tree, probably provided shade to someone who was like tilling the ground or something.
Sure.
I might be making this stuff up, Jacob.
Maybe not. I mean, you give me goosebumps when you talk about
but
it.
The tree has seen everything. It's seen all the construction. That tree has seen every student we have ever served in this institution. So I wish that tree could talk.
I love that outlook. So, your shirt. We asked you to wear a special shirt today.
I did.
So, could you tell us about the shirt? And for the viewers that aren't viewing and actually just listening, it's a red shirt and it has a T with a cardinal on the upper chest.
Yeah. So, I think the direction was like your favorite shirt, or I don't know that this is my favorite T-shirt or my favorite shirt, but it's one of my most meaningful tops, I would say. So the T stands for Thorp Cardinals. So that's my hometown, is Thorp. Yes, I have eaten 10 million times at the Thorpedo restaurant.
As am I.
Yes. But Thorp is my hometown. It's where I graduated high school.
Okay.
And I think that for me, this just represents where I came from. I look back at like the opportunities I was given in a little rural school district that is so similar to the rural school districts we serve here in the Northwoods. And I just think about like how, I probably had no business being on the cheerleading squad or the parliamentary procedure team or forensics or that, the thing is though, as a small school, I never got cut from anything, even though I probably stunk at it. I didn't get cut. And that just, I think, instilled a lot of confidence. Like, it reminds me of like the little dogs who think they're bigger dogs, you
Yeah.
know? Like, I never knew that I couldn't do something. And I am just so, I mean, I think that has just set a course for my entire life. I never knew I couldn't do something. So,
It's a remarkable statement for inclusion, you know, when you think about it,
yeah.
that raw context of it. If you if you grow up never being told no, then yeah, you wouldn't know that you couldn't
I
do
mean,
it, right?
my parents told me no
Well, yeah,
plenty
yeah,
of
yeah,
times
right.
for other things, but yeah, I never got cut from the volleyball team, never got cut from forensics, never got cut from FBLA events, never got cut from student council, never got cut from cheerleading. I mean, you had to try out for all of this stuff
Sure.
and everything, but being a small school, you usually were invited to participate on some level. So
True.
I love that about my upbringing. So I wanted to give homage to where all that came from, which is Thorp School District. And I was just there this weekend, and I go by that school, and I just have really great memories of the whole experience. So,
All right, so we'll flow into some rapid fires.
okay.
If you could instantly master one hobby or skill, what would it be?
I love to sing, but I can't. I'm tone deaf and I don't have any pitch. But man, do I love to do karaoke or sing in the shower. I have a dance party every Saturday morning that my husband has to endure of me singing around, jumping around, singing at the top of my lungs, and that poor guy has to put up with that. But I wish I could sing. I would love to be able to sing.
That's awesome. I like to sing too, but I don't think I'm very good at it either.
I know I'm not very good at it, and I have had people tell me.
All right, so what is your go-to song or playlist when you need a boost?
I have a playlist that I call it my groove playlist. So I have a lot of music like from the '60s that is more of it's a lot of Earth, Wind, and Fire, for
Sure,
example. The stuff also that I have my dance party every Saturday morning. It's usually groove or I'm into this band called the Struts, and they are rockers. They are amazing. So I usually will put that on pretty frequent rotation as well.
Awesome. And then favorite season?
It's got to be summer and certainly this fall, but I'm a warm weather person.
Like the 80s and 90s if you can have
Yep,
them?
love it. I like humidity. I like heat. I'm fine with all of that. Yep, bring on the heat.
If you could give students one piece of advice, Kate, what would that advice be?
I think sometimes students, when they start to get into a pickle or trouble, from an academic perspective, like things are starting to unravel for them. I think it would be to have the courage to say, I need some help, or I'm really struggling with X, Y, or Z concept. I mean, get over the pride. We have literally 160 people here in this institution that would likely drop just about everything that they were doing at that moment to help a student. So I think students sometimes wait too long to seek help, and then oftentimes the horse is out of the barn, and it's really hard to get the ship righted again. So I just I would like for students to feel confident that truly, as an employee of Nicolet College, that is our first job, is to serve students. So, but we're not mind readers, so we don't.
Right.
Sometimes we can anticipate this, but just when they sense the wheels are starting to fall off the rig, yeah, just ask.
Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Don't be afraid.
It really echoes, as a whole, all the guests that we've had so far, their message to students seems to really align with have the courage in some capacity, whether it's to ask for help or to step outside of the norm. I think it's remarkable that that's what you come with too, and I think that also kind of layers your leadership and your vision and your mission, how it trickles down through the people below you and how they're implementing those messages. So
Yeah, it's, we have, we have, we are so blessed with the amount of resources we have as a small college to serve whatever the need is of any students that we see. So, my goodness, as a student, take advantage of that. It really is remarkable. I mean, I see some other institutions that are starving for, the financial stability that a Nicolet College or some of our other WTCS colleges have, and the way we can invest in these resources and support structures for students. So, my goodness, it's there for the taking. So, yeah, having that courage and swallowing the pride. I mean, I remember in college, I withdrew from this one class twice. And then third time was a charm, Jacob, because I finally sought some help,
Yeah.
I needed to get through chemistry, and, well, I needed help. But it wasn't until the third time that I just was like, okay, I have to do this. I have to get this done to get over the finish line. I am not able to do this on my own. So I was a little thick going into it myself, but
I can relate. I think some of the most rewarding triumphs I've ever pushed past adversity is always, I've asked for help, and getting the help that you need really
yeah.
gives you the tools to get past it.
Yeah, and I think that, here's one way to compartmentalize it or to rationalize it if you're struggling with that. If you feel like you shouldn't be asking for help, like, oh, somebody else needs it more than me. No, that is not correct. You deserve that help. We have the resources here to do it. And also, by the way, know that we will maybe tap you for some help in the future as well. So you'll be given an opportunity to pay it forward yourself, too.
Oh, it's an excellent model. Well, that brings us to the end here, Kate. It's been an absolute pleasure being able to sit down and talk with you and understand your role and you as a human. The last thing we have is for you to grab this beautiful hat that you chose, and maybe you could give us a little...
Okay. Yeah, so this hat, I knew that I wanted to choose like a 1940s hat because one of the things that I'm really into personally is kind of mid-century modern, both music, architecture, cars, all of that sort of thing. Anything from mid-century is intriguing to me. So I chose this sort of like 1940s-ish hat, and also it's yellow, which is cheery, which speaks to my positivity strength.
Sure
So
does.
it all makes sense. Okay, we ready?
Ready.
I gotta put my glasses on for this, or do I hand it to you?
No, you go ahead. You go read the name. Let
Okay.
us know who our next guest is.
Okay. She will rock this. Heather Shallock.
Heather Shallock. Thank you for your time.
Thanks,
I know
Jacob.
it's a lot to take time out of the President's Day,
Oh.
but this has been absolutely remarkable.
No,
So
I'm really, really honored to be a part of this. I love this concept, and I really hope that it helps students also. I mean, encourage them to reach out to anyone they see wearing the beautiful Nicolet name tags.
Right.
And just ask for help. It's here.
or just talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Kate.
Thanks, Jacob.